With increasing violence in the border region, John is determined to continue his work. He's extending his fundraising campaign by targeting prominent local businessmen like Haji Abdul Hanan.
So we're going to see the managing director of Toyota Frontier Motors. We're going to find out if anything has come of the fundraising meeting which we held in the Tribal Chamber of Commerce about 1 month ago.
Will the tribes be ready to invest, as we said in the seminar?
The seminar that you held was interesting and successful, and it was a great effort by you. As you know, the tribes expressed interest, and as far as the investment is concerned, the present situation is like this, that we need to create opportunities and to create a situation where local people can think positively.
He said, look, people in the tribal areas, investing in the media is not something that they're used to, and they don't fully recognize the worth of the media. And so they haven't really got the conviction, and they're not worldly wise enough at the moment to actually invest in the media. So he advised us, to also do some work on raising awareness of the importance of the media in the tribal areas. And I said, look, we've been working for 6 months without any money, and we'll carry on working. We're not going to stop.
As well as tackling the big political issues, PACT's programs also reflect the changing face of Peshawar, and John wants me to witness the latest migration of Afghans. Over a quarter of a century, Peshawar has become home to 5 million Afghan refugees who fled war. The tent cities which sprang up outside the city back then have long been replaced by more permanent settlements. Well, this is one of the refugee camps outside of Peshawar, which is still functioning. And it doesn't feel like a refugee camp in the traditional sense. It feels like a proper town or a village. There are market stalls, industry, carpet making, schools, bakeries, everything that you need for a fully functioning community. The modern story of the Afghan people has been one of constant upheaval and displacement. And now, once again, they are facing another uprooting because of Pakistan's fears of Taliban influence amongst the refugees. My guide into the Afghan community is one of John's reporters, Farishta Shekhani, an Afghan refugee herself. Farishta was 8 when her family fled, first to Russia, then to Uzbekistan, and eventually to Peshawar, which has been her home for 13 years. John has been encouraging her to use her insight and understanding to report on what it's like to be an Afghan refugee.
This area is called Ayata, but
Right.
when we came at the start, we were not in here. We were somewhere called Kohat Road.
Right.
We only had 2 rooms, but now everything has changed.
That's good.
Yeah.
But so there are many different parts of Peshawar
Yeah.
where there are Afghan communities, obviously.
Yeah, there are many different parts. Even the names now are attached with Afghans, like
Really?
Afghan colony, Major Bazaar.
Right.
It's like a refugee bazaar.
I love these the decorations on all the
And we are lucky it's
lorries
not
and
rushed
trucks.
today.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we have to sit all very close.
very
close.
cramped. Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you studied here in Peshawar at
Yes,
university?
I did. The studies are like Afghani system. In Peshawar, you can find many refugee schools,
Really?
which are private schools. Because here, the government of Pakistan had no objection
Right.
having refugee schools, but they were not funded by government. The community helped themselves.
I haven't seen any Taliban influence in the camps I visited, only refugees trying to hang on to their identity after nearly 30 years in exile. The refugee schools have been important in keeping alive their Afghan spirit. Their exile should have ended when the Soviets withdrew, but invasion gave way to civil war when Mujahideen groups fought each other. This led to a second wave of refugees flooding across the border to Peshawar. The children sing songs praising the bravery of Afghan warriors who defend a homeland they have never seen for themselves. Unlike the Taliban, the refugees here are keen to educate all their children. These girls are following a curriculum that will be recognized when they return to Afghanistan.
And the area that we're going to now, you said the Afghan colony is its name.
Colony,
that's what it's called.
Yeah, because the very first people who came to Pakistan from Afghanistan were based in there, and they are doing their business.
Right.
In the Afghan colony, I joined Shireen Agha for a game of football. He runs rings around me and leaves me completely out of breath. Shireen dreamed of being a professional footballer. Instead, he ended up fighting the Soviet occupation. Fearing for his life, he fled Kabul.
I
have good memories of Afghanistan. I grew up there. I was a big fan of football and couldn't succeed to get higher because of the fighting in Afghanistan. Football keeps you fit and away from drugs. It's a great game. And my favorite players are Beckham from England.
Beckham from England.
Yeah.
One.
Yeah.
And Henry from France.
Thierry Henry.
Thierry Henry.
Okay. The two favorite players. Shireen started a new life here, got married, had 6 boys, and made a living as a tailor.
When we came here, my elder brother Muhammad Agha had this skill. He is my teacher. We got together and I learnt this skill in a very short time. Tailoring was a great saving. It helped us a lot.
The refugees have survived by relying on practical skills, but also by nurturing their traditional crafts.
So now we are going to meet this carpet place. From the start, people came, there were only a few families. So every community invited their community to join them. It's like a business place, street place, and also a residential place for them.
Oh, wow.
Assalamu alaikum.
This carpet weaving business is headed by 2 brothers and a close friend. For Muhammad Alim, it's more than just a business.
इस डिजाइनिंग ऑफिस में जो डिजाइन आपको नजर आता है ये मैंने खुद बनाया.
In this design office, all the design you see are all created by me. These are my students. This is Omar, who is 12, and Qadar, who is 15. We first look at a picture. We then make a design and then paint it.
डिजाइन के बाद उसको पेंट करते हैं. ये सिर्फ दिमाग हाथ का काम है. 15% हम नेचुरल से काम.
This all comes from my thinking, and it's done by hand. I get the inspiration from nature. Look at the design. There are 2 shades of colors. One is light, the other is dark.
पेंट जो है वो जरा तेज.
It is as if you are sitting on the edge of the river bank, and you see a ripple in the water. And when the water moves, you can see your reflection. One year back, I was in Turkey and saw my reflection in the water. And that's how I created this design.
The brothers came to Peshawar in 1990 and began in a refugee camp. But now they employ hundreds of fellow Afghans. Muhammad Yusuf is proud to keep a family tradition alive.
The carpet, as you know, has been made by Afghans for centuries. It's a symbol of Afghanistan. Back in Afghanistan, our grandparents were involved in this business, and for that reason, We didn't think of doing any other work. The profit in this is small, but we're still happy doing this, as we're able to help and keep 500 Afghan homes going, and God is helping us.
Even though these are Afghan carpets made by Afghans, they're exported under a Pakistani label because Afghans aren't allowed an export license. Their dream is that one day, this symbol of the survival of Afghan art and culture will be sold around the world under an Afghan label.
We pray that things get better and we can go back. A year ago, the government official said that we were only visitors here until 2009 and that this is not our home and we have to shift back. And that's why we don't consider this country as our home.
And when do you think you'll go back?
The main thing is peace. As soon as there is peace and security, we will return.
Many in the West assumed or hoped that the defeat of the Taliban and the installation of the Karzai government would be followed by a spontaneous exodus of Afghan refugees from Pakistan, but it didn't happen. The reason why many have stayed put is because of continuing insecurity in Afghanistan. Despite such fears, the refugees will have to return under the UNHCR repatriation program. It's only when you drive across here that you get an idea of just how vast each of these camps holding Afghan refugees in Pakistan actually is. And the other thing that strikes you immediately is that all that's left now are the mud walls. Everything of value, the windows, the pieces of wood, has been taken away by the refugees. $1.5 million refugees have already gone back. 2 million remain. But they have a deadline of April the 15th, 2009.
This place is called Kachagarai. These houses were made by refugees, and a huge number of refugees used to live here. This was one of the oldest camps based in Peshawar.
Right.
So
how many people did it used to hold?
It was almost 25,000 homes.
25,000 homes.
And this camp was destroyed 3 months ago.
Right.
And I went to many houses.
Really?
And I sat with people, with women, with girls, sob, playing children.
How does that make you feel?
This makes me feel how poor, how helpless refugees are. When you're a refugee, you have to leave one day back.